Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is your reading, not for the week ahead, but for the year ahead. I thought it'd be fun to do a 2025 forecast. What are the themes that are going to be coming up for you, Aries, in the year ahead? First, we have the Hierophant. Later on in your reading, you also have the Three of Cups, the Lord of Abundance. These two things in combination are talking a lot about community. This is perhaps the year that you need to find your community, find your tribe, or indeed you do that. It's interesting that Aries is very typically this mantra of I am, and being able to drive things forward in a very personal way. There definitely feels to be a shift away from the individual and more to the community. Perhaps not a good time to be trying to do things on your own. So themes around collaboration, about your team, about friends, about family, these will be very, very key to your 2025. You may also find that theme of belonging comes up not only for you, but you may also spot that on a larger scale, on a global scale. The Hierophant is very much the High Pope, runs and is in charge of the church. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be about religion here, but one of the things that religion, particularly things like churches, mosques, synagogues, represent is a place of congregation, a place for people to come together. And if we don't have religion in our lives, that tends to be a little more difficult to find. The obvious examples being things like football clubs or any kind of clubs that people belong to. So this again is going to be a real point of focus for you in your year ahead. Where is it that you're finding that sense of community, finding that sense of belonging, finding that ability to share with others? A real emphasis on friendships. Some may come, some may go, but hopefully you'll leave the end of 2025 feeling a sense of camaraderie, a sense of solidarity, not only on a local level, but also on a larger scale too. If not, then that's definitely a worthwhile place to be putting your efforts. Sometimes things like work, self-development, all of those things that we have to initiate, particularly being Aries, as I said before, other things kind of get left to the side. So really, really guard against isolation and feeling as though you need to do things on your own. And the reason for this will become evident a little bit later with some of the other cards. But a real reassurance that whatever hardships, whatever struggles you face, use this mantra of a problem shared is a problem halved. It's not about tackling things in a solo effort, because if you do, that's likely to get you into some hotter water, which again I'll explain a little bit in a moment. The other card that you have is the Two of Wands. Great to see the Wands energy inside Aries, them both being fire. The Two of Wands is an energy of weighing up things, weighing up potential, what seems to have more promise. You may find, for some of you, that includes travel, location. Where do I want to be in the world? These questions very much coming up as well. If you've not done so, I would really recommend, if these themes are coming up for you, astrocartography, where you use your your natal chart, and it's projected onto the world. You can often find these for free on the internet. But that might be a really helpful guiding light. Don't be surprised if this question, there's this strong theme coming through around belonging. Where do I belong? With whom do I belong? Am I in the right place? Am I with the right people? And that's not a bad question to be asking. It may bring up some unsettling feelings. Or just generally a sense of unsettledness. That kind of energy of should I be here or should I be there can be a little bit unsettling. So not necessarily a year that is showing stability and security within the home necessarily, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that things are open to you rather than closing down. But the weighing up of potential just being a recurring theme for you in 2025, not only geographically, but that weighing up of potential of what is it that I'm inspired by, what it is what I want to do. You start questioning your world. This isn't existential crisis. This isn't feeling torn from pillar to post and weighing up every aspect, but certainly looking at, does this feel right, or does something need to shift and change? But again, that's coming more from a space of, well, I want better, I want to improve, rather than coming from a feeling of lack, which leads me beautifully into the next two cards. Quite a challenging little pair here, but a useful and worthwhile pair of the Queen of Cups and the Five of Cups, the Lord of Sorrow. Very, very introspective energies, as you can see by the cards, are both with their head down, they're looking internally. The natural place for you to want to go sometimes, Aries, is to push things through things. In some ways, the fight or flight response will be flight. I want to move away from this. And your natural instincts as well is to charge through things in a fiery way. And that's what you're best at in many ways. Because you've got these more watery elements, these more emotional elements, these themes of introspection, these themes of kind of questioning identity, who you are, what makes you happy, what's making you unhappy, these things coming up and not necessarily knowing where to place them, not necessarily knowing how to integrate them either. It's not, for instance, if this was in Scorpio or in Pisces, in some ways Cancer too. But if your ascendant or your moon sign is one of those, then perhaps you'll be able to, well, it might be a bit of a mixed blessing. It'll either intensify that energy or help you navigate that energy of some of this internal dialogue and some of this internal questioning and exploration. It's not to say don't do that because it's uncomfortable. It will feel very, very worthwhile. It just at times is going to be a little challenging. Remember before I mentioned about the Three of Cups energy, the Lord of Abundance, about sororities, fraternities, families, all of those friends, people around us that are there to support us. That is a really key place to find solace, to find reassurance. You can see the Three Cups here, the Two Cups here upright, and it's almost saying that your friends and family, those trusted comrades, will be the ones to remind you or help you not to get so serious or for things to feel quite so heavy. Remember, the big message around the Five of Cups is don't cry over spilt milk. Don't focus on what isn't working rather than what is working. If you're feeling that some of these emotional challenges or this fluctuation or this turmoil is going on, look at who you can find to support you within that, because it is necessary. It is great. It will likely bring about greater insights, greater understanding, greater clarity within your life, but it may stir things up simultaneously. The other great thing about the Five of Cups is you've got the bridge right in the background. So it is a bridge over troubled water. Now, this leads me so beautifully. When I pulled this card, I thought, perfect. Normally, I obviously use the tarot, but as this is a slightly bigger and longer reading, I wanted to use an oracle card too. And I'm using the Crystal Inspiration deck by Heather Askennosy. And the card that you've got is Apophyllite. Can't really see it there. There we go. Apophyllite. And the message here is stay positive, which is so perfect with the Five of Cups. So with the protagonist of the Five of Cups, he is really focusing on what hasn't gone right and turning his back on rather than looking at what is going right. So your big mantra for the year ahead is to stay positive. This isn't necessarily because things are going to be bad or terrible. No, even when seemingly everything goes our way, we can still get stuck in our head. We can still feel this feeling of lack. I want more, I want more, I want more. So, regardless of whether things are going quote unquote well or quote unquote badly, um, it's not it's not it's not reflective of a very, very challenging year by any means, but it is a reminder of staying positive in whatever aspect. It's very often in Aries, if they feel that they've been stopped or their ability to move forward in a dynamic way has been halted because this introspection needs to happen, that's the likely place where some of these challenges may arise. But as I say, because of this Two of Wands energy, it is looking at ultimately what makes me happier, what holds more promise, and that's perhaps the place to go. Not a time to be stuck by any means, but there will be occasions where that level of introspection, that level of emotional and spiritual examination is required. So I would really carve out some time in the year to do that. Otherwise, you're likely to find yourself in hot water, pun intended, water being the emotional realm. Therefore, is it about looking at therapy? And that doesn't necessarily have to be about talking therapy. It can be any kind of therapy, anything that's going to help and support you within that process, in that integration and that assimilation of the emotional world. So things like therapy could be great. Things like retreat, meditation, anything that cultivates this stillness and this introspection. Now, this isn't about navel gazing, which is one of the dangers of the Five of Cups and the Queen of Cups in tandem. It's not investigating our internal world so much that it then becomes heavy, but it is looking at, okay, what has been unresolved for a while on an emotional level, or why am I feeling these points of frustration? Am I tapping into this place of playing the victim? If so, why so? Look at very much the why things are happening. Why is that emotional response bubbling up? And what lessons are they trying to teach me? And how can I assimilate and resolve those? So it will be an unusual place for you to sit this year, Aries. You're probably going to find yourself more emotional than you perhaps like to admit, or more emotional than perhaps is comfortable. But out of that, not only becomes a heightened awareness of what is valuable and important, friends, family, community, and the loved ones, but also a resolving of what is and isn't working. And sometimes that can be challenging, but out of which comes more growth, greater clarity, and life starts to become more streamlined. So I hope that helps. I hope that's brought about some inspiration. As ever, be sure to check out your sun sign, your moon sign, and your ascendant sign for a really full idea of what 2025 might be bringing you. But until next week, I shall bid you farewell and have a wonderful, wonderful end of the year. Bye for now.